Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
He's just a common man.
I actually feel like that's something.
What's that?
I actually feel like that's something more like Vader would come out to. Speaking of fat guys, Louis Anderson passed away today.
Meatloaf did too.
Yeah, well, I heard Louis Anderson found out we were out of Meatloaf, and that's why he died.
Oh, brother, that's brutal. That's
too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah, they both passed away today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Meatloaf, one of the great rock and roll singers, and then also was known for Rocky Horror Picture Show, so not too bad. And then Louis Anderson, who was known for Life with Louie, the cartoon, and being one of the worst stand-up comedians I've ever seen.
And the one white guy in Coming to America, because Eddie Murphy.
Yes, he worked at McDowell's.
Yeah, and they told Eddie Murphy when he was making that movie, you need to have a white person. And Eddie's like, okay. He's like, well, have Louis.
I've got the perfect guy for you, Louis Anderson.
And then I don't know, what do you always remember Meatloaf for most? I always remember for that song. I would do
Get Out of Hell.
Yeah, that's what I remember most for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all the girls wanted to play that at the high school dances when we were in school. Fucking horrible.
Oh, that sounds awful. So let's talk wrestling. We got
if we have
thing
to
here this week. So I had hit up people with a couple 531 ideas, and in the process, it looks like we might have done these two before, but we've done so many of them. So I thought, little novel idea. I got lists from just a few people, and we're gonna do like a super 531. So the subjects are Cody Rhodes, his greatest matches, and Edge, his greatest matches. And we're going to do Cody first, then we'll do Edge, and then we're going to compare each match and see who had the greatest match of the two of them.
Apparently, Cody found out what we were doing because he went on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night and literally listed down the reasons why he's better than Edge. Not Edge specifically, but the reason why he is an icon or whatever. He literally made his own list. So good for you, Cody.
And quick sidebar too, because I just want to talk about it. It's nothing to do with it, especially we're recording this. You were referencing the Dynamite that just happened. One of my favorite moments in television. I will tell you what I was doing.
Moxley telling the fan to fuck off.
Yes. I just got to tell you, I got to set this up now. I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I'm going to watch it the next day because I got all kinds of stuff going on. And I just kind of have it on my phone. So I was like, oh, Moxie's the first segment. I'll hear what he had to say. And, I got it off to the side. It's TBS. Me and AJ grew up at a time where, like, you don't swear really on TV. No. You better get those premium channels like HBO, Showtime. And so it's like, it's TBS. It's Andy Griffin.
I don't remember back in the day, Iron Anderson on Saturday Night's Main Event going, fuck off.
Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit. He was great. I literally had to do a double take. Like, what did I just hear? He's like,
it's funny. It's funny. They had a huge rating for this. They had well over 1 million people. Their biggest rating since being on TBS.
Yeah. Week, but it is, they got momentum going. Yes.
But everybody actually mentions that it was Sting's first time wrestling on TBS, stuff like that. Nowhere does it mention on any of the reviews that it was Jon Moxley's return.
No,
that might have popped the number a little bit.
Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what the guy said though?
No, I didn't hear what he said.
Okay, so I found out some fan, but it was basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, so forgive me because it's been a day. But he basically said, "Get that drunk ass out of the ring," and John heard him, and so John's like, "You go fuck yourself. You're a piece of shit," and that's
and the crowd agreed with him. So good for him.
Everybody agrees.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic stuff. And quite frankly, if you're going to ride somebody for being smart enough to know when they have a problem and go get help, then there's something wrong with you.
1,000%. All right. We did a little pre-show talk here. Let's get to the business at hand. We're going to talk a little Royal Rumble coming up after this, too. We're going to give you fans a bunch of stuff today. All right. So my first list, I got Scott from Voluntown. And this will be Cody matches. Cody versus Dustin, Double or Nothing. This is an interesting one, AJ. You'll pop for this. He's got Cody versus Mr. Brody Lee for the TNT title. Not the dog collar match. That one where Cody got
annihilated,
straight murdered.
Actually, to be honest with you, I could see where that would be one of the top matches just because of what Cody did in that match and how he got over Brody Lee.
1,000%. I agree. I was wondering if when I first looked at it, I kind of laughed and I thought, you know what? That he did something pretty amazing there, and not many people do that. So hats off. Cody versus Lukazu at the G1 Special in the USA 2017. Cody versus Nick Aldis, All In. And I suppose the dog collar match against Brody Lee for the TNT title. I would have to put that in there as well.
Oh, it's solid.
Solid list. What do you got?
So I got Mr. Mike Flynn coming in first. He's got Cody versus Dustin at Double or Nothing. I think we can agree that was a hell of a match. Cody versus Nick Aldis at the NWA anniversary show. Cody versus Jericho from Full Gear. Cody versus Okada, G1 Special. And Cody versus Omega versus Ibushi for the King of Pro Wrestling in 2018. I'm seeing a common trend here. I don't see any Stardust references or early Cody matches on any of these lists thus far.
There is one. No, there's no Stardust matches. There is one. Here, we'll go right now to it. This is Jesse from New Hampshire. He's got the Rhodes family versus the Shield at Battleground 2013. Now, he wasn't. Stardust was actually going to come a little after this, I think. Yeah. But this was when.
It's the precursor to it.
Right. At this time, it's pretty cool because this is the thing where basically Triple H and Stephanie were firing people, and they had fired Cody and Dustin came back as Goldust to try to get his job. Then Dusty did. And
it's really the last time you see Dusty on TV before he passes away, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he does he's something else to me in this because if you go up and you look at Dusty versus Stephanie McMahon and just type that in, you'll probably find it on a promo. There's a promo where Stephanie was just killing people around this time on the mic. She would totally blast them and kind of walk them down, and nobody got anything. I remember, you remember this time period, she slapped the shit out of Big Show. He did nothing.
I know.
Yeah.
Dusty did not die, unfortunately.
He didn't do any of that shit. He threw her hand in her face. He looked legit pissed. And everybody, she said afterwards, I'd love to work with Dusty again. But they did it. So,
Yeah. Unfortunately, what we'll find a lot with the McMahon family is that, we love the way that went.
Yeah. That time. It ain't gonna happen again, but that time it was great.
Absolutely amazing stuff that we'll never see again.
Yes. Continue with Jesse's list. He's got Aldis at All In 2018. Yeah, we're gonna see that a couple times here, I think, and this is short because Aldis to me and Cody had great chemistry. I think that Aldis and Cody brought the best out of each other. I really like Nick Aldis and Cody for the NWA World Title. I also got Dustin. He's got Cody versus Dustin at Double or Nothing 2019. Versus Jericho at Full Gear 2019, and he's got Kingston versus Dynamite July 20. That was obviously Eddie's first time in the company, and obviously Eddie made a great appearance there. It was a great first time showing, and again, much like that thing with Brody Lee, Cody really good at getting some people over here too.
Yeah, no, Cody has done a great job. Whether it's Aleister Black, whether it's Brody, he has done a great job of actually getting over other performers. Sammy Guevara, he's gotten over. I know people like to point out that he beat Sammy, but he got him over big time in that match.
I agree.
I have
one more list here. Yeah.
I have Randy Osgood. Not only do I have his list for this, spoiler alert, I happen to have his list for top boxers of the 90s also.
We are not doing that yet. So. Please continue. I don't know how you got that secret information. Get shit out of here.
But he's got Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes at AEW Double or Nothing. He's got Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis, NWA 70th anniversary show again. Cody Rhodes versus Brody Lee in the dog collar match. Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus The Shield at Battleground.
Yes.
And then he's got Cody versus, and this is actually going to be on my list also, Cody Rhodes versus Christopher Daniels, Ring of Honor, the World 2017.
So great matches. In fact, I was going to give you Zach's, and then we'll go to your list here. Zach has Cody versus Dustin, Double or Nothing. He's got versus Nick Aldis, the 70th anniversary show. That was the 2 out of 3 fall match where Aldis won back the title. Also, the debut of Camille. He's got versus Brody Lee. And then he's got Cody and Scroll versus the Golden Lovers, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Honor Rising. And then he also has Sammy Guevara for the recently Holiday Bash, which, spoiler, I have that on my list too. That was, the Christmas show. And I thought there was something really fantastic about Cody and Sammy on that match, Christmas night. And you got David Crockett there to present the title. Pretty cool.
Nice.
And what do you got, buddy?
So I actually have 2 times on my list, actually, Cody versus Christopher Daniels. The World one is actually a fantastic match. It really is really good, and it shows what they can do as wrestlers. But if you like just a violent match where 2 wrestlers just beat the shit out of each other, tell a story, and it's actually the blow-off match for this feud, November 18th from Survival of the Fittest for Ring of Honor, you've got Christopher Daniels and Cody Rhodes in a Texas death match. And I suggest that you check that out if you haven't. It's Christopher Daniels at his best. It's Cody at his best. And the 2 of them just are absolutely amazing.
Cody was great in this Ring of Honor era too. Really good.
Actually, believe it or not, all of the matches that I've got on my list are actually Ring of Honor matches.
Okay, there you go.
Or that time period. Sorry, I shouldn't say they're all Ring of Honor. They're all from that time period. I've got him versus Kushida at the Global Wars.
Yeah,
that's the him. As you know, I'm a big Kushida fan, and him and Kushida actually are going for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship for this one, the title, and it's just a hell of a match. It's back and forth. You see Kushida go for his Back to the Future finisher, and Cody actually catches the Crossroads for the championship. So that's a hell of a match. Him versus Minoru Suzuki.
Okay.
That's now you would think that their styles don't necessarily go well together because it's not what Cody's known for. We think wrong. It's absolutely amazing. Cody does do a good job of actually fighting with him. He does a good job of actually giving it back and forth with him, and it ends up being a hell of a match. Cody does win that one with the Crossroads. And then someone who's new to AEW, Jay Lethal, Cody in his promo this week mentioned Jay Lethal and did a great job of telling what a awesome job he does with his version of the cutter. Well, I think the reason why he mentions the cutter and so big is because that Final Battle 2016, him versus Jay Lethal, is an absolutely outstanding match with both of them just trading back and forth. Cody even freaking at one point flips him off while he's laying prone because they've been beating the shit out of each other. It's just a hell of a match. And then my last one is Christopher Daniels, best in the world. That to me showed why two of them are two of the best wrestlers in the world in 2017.
I'm wondering if it's that lethal match you're talking about too. I think he threw a water at one of the announcers and insulted the crowd. He really went all heel on that one.
No, he did. It is. It's the match where he goes heel, but they don't start off going heel.
Right.
They start off with having like a regular wrestling match.
Gives him a low blow.
The ref goes down. He hits him with the low blow. He throws water at the announcers, flips him off while he's laying on the mat. Freaking all of a sudden, he went from being both of them babyface wrestling to Cody Rhodes just full blown heel. And it was a great turn in the middle of the match.
I agree. Well, let me get my list out here real quick then. I got Cody versus Dustin Rhodes as well. This was just a tremendous match. Dustin, Cody bleeding, the emotion, people chanting Dusty. It's the match they should have got in WWE, but they never did, and they got to do it in AEW.
For whatever reason, the WWE just did not seem to want to pull the trigger on that match.
And they so didn't see something in Dustin that they actually let him out of his contract. And they don't always do that, as we know.
Yeah, the Rhodes family basically were begging to do this match at WrestleMania, and WWE just would not allow it to happen. I wonder if there's any regrets after seeing what they actually did.
I don't know if there is, but there should be. Brody Lee dog collar match. I thought that was a classic. All in, Nick Aldis. I already said how much I feel about that. And I actually had Cody and Dustin versus the Shield Battleground. Reason why I like this match in particular is because the Shield was basically untouchable at this time. They weren't losing at all. And for Dustin and Cody, to get some wins on the Shield and eventually win the tag titles, this feud at all was just excellent.
No, and that was definitely a fun feud. It's and that could have made my list. My list basically, I like matches because a lot of times Cody is given a hard time by wrestling fans about what he does in the ring and stuff of that nature. And I just felt like the 5 matches that I showed showed more of his versatility.
Yeah, I think Cody can go in the ring. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. And I also had Sammy, like I said, Christmas night TNT title.
I think he made don't get me wrong, Sammy's fantastic. If anything's going to make Sammy, it's being smart enough to leave his fiance for Ty Conte. But other than that, allegedly, other than that, it is the matches with Cody that really help cement him.
I'm looking down here. I see a lot of Cody Aldis matches. I see Cody and Dustin Rhodes. I feel like that's been on here a lot. And maybe a little bit of Cody Brody Lee, I guess. But it was funny because we have both Aldis matches, both Brody Lee matches.
Well, that's the problem is that they actually weren't the same matches. Right. While they added people to it, they weren't the same matches. They were just combinations of those wrestlers.
So I say we'll go. What's up, producer Joe, in the comments?
Okay, first of all, that's allegedly. That is not producer Joe. That is Joe Seart.
Yes, edit that out. So, yeah, I would say personally, I would have to go with the dog collar match and
the tag match and probably the what was the other one there?
The other match is
Dustin
Aldis. Well, Aldis, yeah. Well, they mentioned Aldis.
Go with Aldis. Yeah, go with Aldis.
Yeah. And I would say I know a lot of people like that 70th anniversary show, but I like All In a little bit better. I just think it was more of an atmosphere.
Hey, you feel like they were all in?
Yes. I mean, the 70th anniversary is great. It's got kind of an old school vibe. It's 2 out of 3 falls. But to me, I just like
whoever this Joe guy is. He asked us if Cody's matches were his most recent ones.
His best matches were most recent.
I think most people did go towards the most recent ones. I think I was in the minority going in the 2017, 2016 area. But I could definitely say that overall, it was not his WWF run that got the bigger pops.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then of course, like we said, Cody and Dustin would have to also make our list. And I gotta say, the first match I'm gonna kick off out of there, rest in peace, would be the dog collar match because I love
Me too.
Yeah, I love me some Brody Lee, but I think
I love that match.
Yeah. What's that?
I love that match too, but to me, it's
It didn't have the story of the other two matches.
Exactly.
Right.
That's I 100% agree.
Yeah. I mean, with the NWA title, with Aldis, he's going for his dad's title. He's going for that title that means something, and he's going at an event that him and the Bucks legitimately gambled on themselves on. It's pretty big time. At the same time, for me, I don't think it gets more emotional than going up against your own brother and the fans chanting for your father.
I think that not only is that, and Dustin obviously has had some big matches, but not only do I think that that's one of the top matches in Cody's career, but I think it's actually one of the top matches in all of Dustin's career. I mean, it's a close second, having the fact that we did see him in that Dustin. This is in that great moving truck match. That was fantastic. but this has got to take the number one spot.
Yeah, he's talking about the Blacktop Bully match that actually got him fired from
the one that got him fired from WCW. Yes.
Now we're gonna go with Dustin and Cody as our number one match, but we promise we give you a little extra this week. So we're gonna do some top 5 Edge matches, and we're gonna get to a Rumble preview pretty soon.
We just give. It's what we do. We're givers. We're here. We work for you, and we just keep giving and giving.
You're gonna get it. All right, I'm going to start off with Scott from Voluntown. He's got his favorite Edge matches to be Edge and Mysterio versus Kurt Angle. And I do not know if this was meant to be.
Dave, I think if you're going to suggest that somebody is actually from Voluntown, you should say allegedly, because nobody deserves to be known as from Voluntown.
I should have read this beforehand. It's he has Kurt and redacted No Mercy 2002. I'm thinking he meant Benoit. All right, we're gonna go back to that. I'm gonna find out what that was.
He might mean Judgment Day. I know Judgment Day 2002 was Edge versus Angle.
I'm curious here. So No Mercy. I'll find this out. Anyway, we also have ENC versus the Hardys versus the Dudley Boys, TLC match Mania 17. Edge and Christians versus the Hardy Boys ladder match No Mercy 99. That one's the one that put them both on the map. And same team as above, SummerSlam 2000. And then, so basically he's talking about another TLC match. And then Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, SmackDown 2002. At that time, SmackDown was having some of the best matches on television. It was basically with Edge, Angle, Guerrero, and Benoit, all taking turns.
In fairness, you can say at that time, but through the history of SmackDown, I think overall they've had the better matches than Raw.
Oh, without a question. I'm going to let you go to a list here. I'm going to find out about this No Mercy match, though.
I got Mike Flynn, who's allegedly not from Voluntown, and he's got Edge versus Orton versus Cena versus HBK at Backlash 07. He's got Edge versus Cena at Backlash 09. Apparently, he really likes Backlash. Edge versus Angle at Judgment Day 2002. Edge versus Shelton versus Christian versus Benoit versus Jericho versus Kane at WrestleMania 21.
Oh,
and Edge,
that was Money in the Bank. They didn't specify that, I guess, but that's the Money.
Yeah, it was a Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania 21.
Yeah, that's the one Edge won. Yep.
And then Edge versus the Undertaker at 2008 SummerSlam.
And this No Mercy match, by the way, was it was probably just the phone fucking with him, but basically it was Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle versus Edge and Mysterio, and that was for the inaugural SmackDown tag titles at No Mercy.
Yeah, I actually have that match on my list. That's
there you go. And continuing on, I got Jesse from New Hampshire. He's got SummerSlam 2000 TLC. I believe that's with John Cena. WrestleMania 2000 ladder match. He's got WrestleMania 17 TLC. He's got Cena TLC Unforgiven 2006. And that first SummerSlam 2000 that would have been the tag teams. My bad. And then he's also got Edge and Ray versus Angle and Benoit, but this is Survivor Series 2002.
I've got Randy Osga straight off the farm.
Yes.
And we've got Edge versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 24. Edge versus John Cena, Unforgiven 2006. Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus the Dudley Boys, TLC, WrestleMania 17. We've got Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, WWE SmackDown, no DQ match from September 26th, 2002. And in his number 1 spot, he's got Edge versus Kurt Angle, hair versus hair, Judgment Day 2002.
I find this interesting. Edge would go on to win what? I mean, I'm not even sure. I didn't look it up here. It looks like maybe like 11, 12 world titles in WWE, singles world titles.
Yeah.
But when we look back at his best matches, and
They're
there's
not
some
his world
in there,
title matches.
but it's a lot of it's his TLC run still.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
people love TLC. That's it's something that has stuck with them. Him, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys. I mean, all of their careers still, when they get asked about stuff, it's still TLC.
It is.
It's kind of like Mick Foley. How many great matches has Mick Foley had, and how many people just want to know about Hell in the Cell?
Right. Yeah,
people aren't coming up to him going, "Hey, tell me about the Boiler Room."
Mick Foley, to his credit, I mean, that man pulled a good match out of Van Hammer.
Yeah.
Clash of Champions.
Allegedly.
No, he deserves credit for that one. I will take that from him. I don't know anyone else who's done that. So
no, that's it. Well, he had help from Abdullah the Butcher.
Yes. I got Zach St. John. He's got Mania 17 versus the Dudleys and the Hardys. He's got Edge and Ray versus Angle and Benoit. He's got Edge versus Kurt Angle, Judgment Day 02. And he's got Edge versus Undertaker, SummerSlam 08. And Edge versus Mick Foley, Mania 22. And Mick Foley would consider this match his WrestleMania moment, too.
Yeah. And it is a hell of a match. That's I guess I'll go next with my list.
Yeah, as I say, I think yours is next, and that's it. And I got mine.
So No Mercy, Edge and Ray versus Kurt and Chris Benoit on my list. I know it's not always popular, but Chris Benoit, one of my all-time favorites. Kurt Angle, one of my all-time favorites. Edge, I absolutely got nothing but respect for, and then Rey Mysterio. Extreme Rules, I've got Edge versus Jeff Hardy in the ladder match from 2009. I think what Edge and Jeff Hardy did in that match was absolutely phenomenal. Even though it was just the two of them, not everybody else from the TLC matches. The two of them were at their best at that time, and I think they really showed it. WrestleMania 24, Edge versus The Undertaker. I know it's one of Edge's highlights to his career, being able to work with The Undertaker. I felt like they had great chemistry together. I think that for where Edge was at in his career and where The Undertaker was, they were both really still in their prime, and they looked absolutely amazing together.
Edge closed the show that year, too, with Undertaker at Mania.
Yes.
So that's a big moment, the main event Mania.
And ironically, we were just talking about it, WrestleMania 22, Edge versus Mick Foley hardcore match. That spear through the ropes, through the flaming table is one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. And I think helped to wreck Edge's neck. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And why Big E does that all the time, trying to spear people through the ropes, I have no idea.
He seems to do it all right, but yeah, it's a scary move.
It only takes being off by a centimeter to screw up the whole thing.
He's a big man too.
Yeah. I do have one more match here, and this is my all-time favorite Edge match. I don't think it gets enough credit when we talk about great matches that have happened in WWE. It is from SmackDown. It is the no DQ match. Him and Eddie Guerrero. You, especially knowing going forward what the future will bring once Eddie's passed away, and working with Vicky Guerrero, and looking back at it now, to me, it's even more of a special match, because I think that that's where that bond started to grow between him and Eddie and the family, and him and Eddie Guerrero just had such great chemistry, as if Eddie didn't have good chemistry with everybody, but still.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
No, we talked about this before. I'm a belt mark. We both are. We talk about players.
Yeah.
And I know
absolutely.
Eddie only had the belt one time, but when you look legitimately at my best in-ring performers, Eddie's he should be there.
Yeah, well, the stories that he told. Every time
Yeah.
he entered the ring, he told a story.
Great
No matter
matches,
who he was
everything.
wrestling, no matter
Lesnar, it didn't matter. Guerrero.
whether he was wrestling a mechanic in the ring or whether he was wrestling somebody who was a giant, no matter who he was wrestling with, there was a story being told.
Yeah.
And just a ring general. He helped build so many careers. We miss him daily. I can tell you in the world of wrestling, because I can only imagine. I hope he wouldn't still be wrestling, but he would be producing. He would be helping with the younger generation, and I think that this generation could definitely use it.
All right, well said. I will finish up here. I got Edge versus Foley as well, Mania 22. I got the ladder match before that for Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank 21. That was Edge's first win at Money in the Bank. First Money in the Bank, I believe, too. Actually, yeah.
I think for his career, obviously, that's a big moment.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that kept me from pulling the trigger on it is just because there's so many people involved in it.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily a showcase of his skills so much as it was a showcase of it just getting him over.
And I put Edge versus the Elimination Chamber, even though that wasn't necessarily a great match. That's where he won his first world title, and he cashed at the New Year's Revolution that year against Cena. TLC Mania 17. That's kind of my favorite out of the TLC matches, and I felt like we had to have a TLC on there. And then I got Unforgiven, Edge versus Cena in a TLC match as well, but a one-on-one TLC match. And I think this is one of John Cena's best matches of his career.
And I felt bad because I did kind of avoid the TLC matches on purpose.
Yeah.
Just because I knew that is where he obviously made his name, I kind of tried to stay away from him because I wanted to showcase kind of what he could do other than the TLCs. So that's kind of why I went away from the TLCs.
Yeah, I understand that. In fact, I'm going to put you.
He's continuing to tell good stories today.
Yeah,
what he does with the Miz, what he's done with Randy Orton, those two rookies, helping them really grow.
Yeah, I'm going to put down his match with Guerrero on here. I think that was fantastic, and I was regretting I didn't put that on there. Like, I really started to remember that match.
If you have time today, and I know that you're a busy person, but if you have time today, go back and rewatch that match on the network. And I'm telling you, it's
a random Smackdown episode too.
It's worth taking the time.
It wasn't
to watch.
The main event, if I recall.
No, it was just a random match on the card, and it's just one that has always stuck out to me. And I was a little annoyed actually that somebody else had it on their list because I thought that was going to be my bombshell. Like, yeah. And then I was like, damn it.
TLC Mania 17 was on a few lists. I think we'll have that one. That's the famous one where Edge actually spears Hardy.
When he's dangling from the.
Yeah. I think
Mick Foley should actually, him and Mick Foley, that hardcore match should also make it.
I'll go with that. I was going to put the Cena one, but I like that one too. Because there's not much story to it, I think I will eliminate the Guerrero one first.
And as great as the match is in the story of his career, it only means so much. If there's one great thing from that match, Edge was still young in his career, and I think it showed him how you can make somebody and how you can actually tell that great story in the ring. And I like to think that it just helped to build him for who he was going to turn into.
Yeah, not Cody Rhodes. Just aboard. Well, we talked about Cody. We're talking about Edge, but we're going to get to Cody again. So, but all right. So, top three. Then we're down to Edge and Foley, WrestleMania 22, and then TLC, WrestleMania 17. Now, to me, I think these TLC matches is just what he remembered for.
Which is scary that 20-something years later that it's what he's known for, with the amount of great matches that he's had, with the amount of, even with that time off, with that 7 years off, it's still what he's known for.
I want to give you something here, though, too. And I know this isn't like, we love those matches, but it's not necessarily our forte. We won't go out of our way.
No, usually. TLC matches are not my favorite matches.
But, and I think you'll agree with this, did they not just set the bar too high? Has anybody been able to touch them?
The fact of the matter is nobody has.
No.
If you ask people what the best TLC match is, we can do that top 5. Let's do that sometime.
Yeah.
I guarantee you 17 will still win the number 1 spot.
Or a variation of Edge, Christian versus the Dudleys and the Hardys.
We've seen other companies try to do it. We've seen other,
and they're fantastic.
Yeah,
but I don't think any of them have the story, the setting, and it's just these three teams knew how to work.
And quite frankly, you've got 3 teams at that point that are up and coming teams that all are made from that match.
Yeah.
What other match are 6 people made from more than that match?
So that being said, I said this will be the ultimate 5-3-1. What a kind of comparison here. The emotion of Cody and Dustin, or the match that set the bar higher than ever for a TLC. What do you pick?
Personally?
Yeah.
Cody and Dustin. Just from a personal standpoint, to me, that meant so much to me watching those two.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it was a bigger match in the spectrum of things.
Yes.
Obviously, that TLC match is a bigger match in the spectrum of things. However, personally, just from an emotional standpoint and being a Rhodes fan and growing up, watching that family grow up. I mean, I remember Dustin as an 18-year-old kid on Saturday night's main event, for Christ's sakes, and now he's in his 50s. I to be honest with you, I've got to go Rhodes with this one. And it's nothing against the other one. It's just emotionally for me, which one connects with me.
Yeah. Should take a vote for this.
I also prefer a classic wrestling match where 2 people beat the shit out of each other over using tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my!
I mean, these 2 beat the shit out of each other too, obviously, but this is the fact that we could see Dustin still go at this level.
Well, also the emotional storyline that was told
about the dad too, just Dusty being the fans,
and the fact that Dusty, unfortunately, because the WWF didn't pull the trigger on it, Dusty never got to see it.
And absolutely, Now, 2 more questions about these 2. We're looking these 2 up here. Who had the better career? I think we're both going to say it's Edge at this point. Edge is main evented Mania.
He's 12-time world champion. I mean, how do you freaking? It's nothing against him. I mean,
nothing against Cody.
Cody just never was given those same chances.
Right.
And you got to remember, how long was Cody in the WWE for? Almost a decade.
Right.
And he just wasn't given those same opportunities. Now that being said,
when you look at what Cody does when he gets put into places like Ring of Honor World Champion, IWGP US Champion, NWA Heavyweight Champion. Like,
let's be clear, not having Edge's career, Edge is in like a 5 percentile of people that have had that career. Yeah. Unless you're talking Cena, Hogan, Austin, that next level up, unless you're talking that level, there's not a lot of people in that.
Now, in a few years, when we talk about what these 2 meant for the business, that could be different. Cody might rely on the success of AEW.
Well, here's the difference. Edge hasn't changed the business.
No.
The business is what the business was with Edge. Edge is not a changer to the business. Right. He is a part of the business, and he is a tremendous part of the business. He's not a game changer. Cody Rhodes and what they've done with AEW, and what he did as a free agent when he left it, when he chose to leave the WWE, become a free agent, bet on himself, go out there, go around the world like the free agent that he did, and then build AEW. He is a game changer.
We're not going to piss some people off this week because we're going to agree, but whatever. I agree because Cody kind of set the precedent. Like, he was the first guy that really started getting some traction for leaving and walked away from that big contract. And I say that, I mean, he was the first big guy to leave, not to go to WCW, but he's going to bet on himself.
Yeah, he didn't leave. When he left, there was no other large federation.
Right.
There were other places to go. Right. Ring of Honor, Impact.
Sure.
He didn't do that. He left and worked with everyone. Oh my God, it's Mrs. St. John's favorite baby boy.
What's up, Zach? Yeah, we're talking about little Cody Rhodes and Edge today. But on that note,
Now that Zach's here, we'll see you later. No.
Let's talk about Royal Rumble a little bit this weekend, or next weekend rather. Jumping the gun here because it's funny. There's been some names batted around about potential people entering the men's Royal Rumble, and Cody Rhodes is technically, as we found out, a free agent. That being said, I don't see this happening. Okay, so you don't think this is a good chance?
No, God, no.
Do you think we see a wrestler? We know Mickie James is going to be there. Do we see another Impact wrestler or somebody possibly getting the men's Rumble?
So here's the funny thing. We got to be clear about something too. While Cody Rhodes is a free agent as a wrestler, he is not a free agent when it comes to being an EVP. He is still under contract as an executive vice president for All Elite Wrestling. He is not completely free and clear. Can he go and wrestle there if he wanted to? Absolutely. But you're talking about literally an executive vice president. And WWE came out earlier this week and they were asked in an interview, one of the higher ups for WWE, what they thought of the product in AEW.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And they called it trash and said that we don't aim towards that clientele. We don't aim towards that audience. Basically, they just made it sound like it's all trash and pointed fingers at the fact that women are bleeding and stuff of that nature, which I thought was sexist. Oh, women can't have a match where they can bleed? They don't have a right to beat the shit out of each other and freaking, hey, you want to be sexist, WWE? You be sexist.
Okay, well, staying on task here. We don't think Cody's going to enter the role, but do you think we'll see maybe somebody from Impact, not besides Mickie? Will it be a men here, or will it be somebody else from another organization in the Rumble?
So I'm going to turn this on you. So for Impact, who do you think on the men's side, and we know who on the women's side would make a name, but who on the men's side would the WWF actually be interested in? Because I can only think of size-wise a couple guys who the WWE would actually be interested in, or big enough names to actually put in the Royal Rumble. And
Moose.
Moose is one of them.
Maybe Morrissey, if they want to.
They could bring back Big Cass to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously they would call him Big Cass if he came in. You could definitely see one of those two just because of their sheer size. But does anybody else have the big enough name other than maybe Zack Ryder? Yeah.
Well, that was the other one I was going to say. They would come back as Zack Ryder for this one spot. And actually, I'm going to throw one AEW name as a possibility to go in. He won't go in probably, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If there's somebody on AEW who is going to be in the Rumble, it's Chris Jericho.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think Chris Jericho has any interest in doing anything with the WWE.
No, but he did go on the Steve Austin show, and that was on Peacock, and WWE did promote it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think now after this little interview.
Yeah, that's the thing. He wasn't exactly kind on the interview with on this Broken Skull interview.
He was fine. I mean, I'm saying though, with WWE making comments too about, that might make Tony Khan might not want to lend him out.
Yeah, and that might be a thing. I mean,
let me ask you this though: if you're AEW, if you're Impact, if you're any of these promotions, I guess maybe I'm mainly asking about AEW because Impact, absolutely. Why, if WWE came to you and said, "Hey, we're willing to promote with you," why not take it
for AEW?
Yeah, even AEW, why not?
Because if you go and do that, it makes it look like you're lesser talent, and it makes it look like you feel like you need the WWE to promote your wrestlers. Okay, AEW, AEW, I think right now needs to actually stay away from that. They need to actually be their own entity and show, hey, we're on their level. Not only are we on their level, they put a show up against us and we whoop the shit out of them. That's the why.
NXT.
Oh yeah, no, and don't get me wrong, we know it's NXT.
Yeah.
But right now, at the end of the day, that not only did they beat NXT bad, they beat NXT so bad that everybody who ran that show is gone.
That's a narrative, though, too, to a certain point, too, though. I mean, at the end of the day, like Vince pulled the plug on that operation, and it's a shame. And but
not only did he pull the plug on it, he literally got rid of everybody who was responsible. Right. The only person left there is what, Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, and Hunter technically, but we don't know where Hunter is these days.
Yeah, but he's out with freaking whatever heart ailment. We wish him well. Wish you well, Hunter. Hope you're doing good. King of all kings. Rawr.
Do you who do you pick for the men's rumble right now? Gun to your head. This is tough, right? They haven't set anybody up.
They haven't. Maybe
I'll make it easy.
I need to know. Is Lashley still going to be in the Rumble?
I'm going to say this is what I'll say. I'll give you two names. Big E wins the Rumble. And I'm going to say the other one would be Brock Lesnar. I say Brock Lesnar maybe wins his match, enters the Rumble, wins the Rumble, and then challenges Roman for the belt for a unification match at this year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, it definitely could happen. And that's the problem with picking a winner for the Rumble is not knowing who's actually eligible to be in it. It used to be easy because if you were a champion, you weren't eligible to be in it. Right. So therefore, that made it easy because
all
you
the
didn't
rules
have
are
to worry
off.
about this. Yeah, now that there's no actual rules to who can be in it, why not pick Roman Reigns? Maybe Roman Reigns doesn't. He wants to come over and win the Raw title.
Pick a winner.
Now he's the head. Hey. Now he's the head of the title. Now he's the head of the head of the table everywhere.
Who do you think's gonna win? Gun to your head. I know we don't know, but just take a wild guess.
All right, so I'm gonna pick one favorite, and then I'm gonna pick a dark horse.
Okay.
Because I think that they're trying to shove somebody down our throat right now, and
Sami Zayn.
I'm not a big fan of his. So my favorite to win it is actually Big E. I think Big E's might win it. The other one who might do it is, believe it or not, Seth Rollins still might actually, even though he's got the match at Royal Rumble, I think he might also win the Royal Rumble. But my dark horse is fucking Damian Priest. For some reason, they are shoving Damian Priest down our throat each and every freaking week. The guy can barely work in the ring. His mic skills are atrocious. I cannot stand Damian Priest, allegedly.
Hey, Randy, we kind of covered this a little bit, but I was gonna say,
did he leave the room? Did he ask us a question and then leave the freaking room?
I think he did eventually, but
That's
my guess is,
I think that. All right, I'm gonna say we don't see someone from the men's side on Impact.
I don't either.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's just gonna be Mickey. I think they want Mickey. There was a story there.
I think they want to create the new narrative of Mickey coming in, then making amends, and freaking her leaving without the garbage bags. They're whitewashing the history.
I think so. Let's get to the women's rumble.
What about seeing now? You could see somebody from the NWA. If Mickey's coming, maybe you see Nick Aldis in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Will we see somebody from another promotion in the men's rumble? How about that?
Does NXT count?
No, we'll see people from NXT.
If it was going to be anybody from another promotion, I really think the odds-on favorite would be Nick Aldis at this point.
Okay. My guess is I'll say we won't. I don't
think we will either. I'm saying if I had to pick,
they just don't like to do it. I'm so shocked that we're getting Mickey. I can't believe it. But
only because the only reason that they're willing to do it with Mickey is because they feel that they created Mickey.
They created Mickey, and I think there's a story here which is why Mickey is a dark horse of mine, despite working for a company, because this story.
Mickey could win it.
Yeah, she comes back to revenge this. She goes to Mania. I could even see her putting the belt on, and then they job her out for Money in the Bank or something. But yeah, I mean, there's a story here to be told, and I kind of wonder the backstory about this, because if you remember when this went down with her getting fired in the trash bag and other than that, Stephanie McMahon seemed legitimately upset about this situation, and she, I think, had personally tweeted Mickey and kind of went to her. Mickey didn't seem too receptive at the time, but. Obviously,
how receptive would you be if your stuff was left in a fucking garbage bag in the back door?
I'm not telling you she was wrong. I get it, but and Mickey has since said that they've apologized and we've made amends, and
especially since Mickey in her last run basically came in and made everybody that she worked with.
Yeah, but I will say my favorite to win it right now, because again, I mean, and despite the fact they did that little thing with Lita and Charlotte, which no, not a fan. I don't know. I like Lita, but I don't see Lita in a world title situation. I say Belair is the favorite to win it right now.
I love Lita. I think Lita is one of the best women. I think she helped build the women's originally, but she's long past her prime. When's the last time she's actually worked regularly? And to come in and work at the level that Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, that those guys work at is not something you can just be off for 10 years and do.
Agreed.
What?
Who's your favorite to win it? I got Belair as a favorite.
I think Belair wins it, and then I think it's Belair versus Becky at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think Mickie James is our dark horse, though.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why not? That's I can see. I can actually. It's a dark horse that could happen.
Yeah.
Yo, do you have a dark horse for the men's?
I'm not like happy. Like I'm not crazy about it. That's why I'm a fan. But Lita also is a dark horse too, by the way. Just because they did that thing with Charlotte.
And they changed plans and flew her in to do that thing with Charlotte.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
But do you Alexa Bliss could be a dark horse too, especially with everything that's going on right now for her to get another shot at freaking Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Now, go ahead.
But that being said, do you have a dark horse for the men's?
Yeah. Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
I think he just shows up.
Baddest man in the federation. He's my dark horse.
Okay. You want a real dark horse then? You want someone like who would be a big
Dude, I picked Damian Priest as a dark horse. If that's not a dark horse.
I'll match you. Braun Breaker.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Comes up out of nowhere.
He did a good job of talking to the crowd this week at NXT too, because a lot of them were saying we're chanting at him about his family and stuff like that, and he did a good job of responding and keeping it classy. So good for Braun Baker.
I'd like to see in the men's rumble. Now that we're backtracking a little bit, would be Gunther, aka Walter. I hate that.
I would love to see Gunther storm in. That'd be fantastic. That's who's in your research department that doesn't realize that this is an actual Nazi villain from World War II?
I don't even want to talk about this. Let's go.
Were they watching Texas wrestling? Were they watching old Fritz von Erich stuff? We're like, you know what would really pay off today? Let's use the Nazis.
Yeah. Let's get to the big world title matches. Seth versus Roman. I'm glad they brought Seth in. You ain't going over Roman. This is Roman all day.
I love Seth right now. I think Seth's character is fantastic. I don't know how entertaining you find it.
It's a little weird. We're gonna do a heel versus heel, and the other match is kind of a tweener versus tweener, by the way.
Well, the funny thing is Seth is still so far full blown heel on Raw, but he's been playing the babyface on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it's not every time in the same federation that you can play face and heel.
But we got Roman, right? This has got to be Roman.
I think Roman's going over.
Yeah, I heard something.
Roman's got to have the belt until WrestleMania. He's got to.
I agree. I got Lesnar over Lashley, but this one wouldn't surprise me as much as Seth. I think Lashley has a shot.
If Lashley goes over,
Brock enters
your pick. Brock Lesnar is winning the Royal Rumble, and we're getting Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
I agree, but I'm going to say Brock retains.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
How about Becky Lynch and Doudrop in?
All right, final match. Yeah, Becky Lynch, Doudrop in. Becky. It's not. I like Doudrop, formerly Piper Niven, is fantastic. And if they let her make a good showing, this will be a great match. But at the end of the day, Becky's the bigger star and has been booked as such.
Absolutely, and she should continue to be. It's interesting to me because it's the first time that I can really think of that with that much of a size difference, that the heel is going to be the little one.
Yes.
So it's kind of intriguing there. But it's definitely a hell of a match.
I will say I'll close with this though. In terms of who I want to win, if I have my way.
Oh, you want Doudrop?
No. I'm talking about this whole card. Yeah. Who I want to win more than anybody, I would want Mickie James to get that win if I could pull this off somehow.
More than anybody, that's tough. I would like to see Mickie James win, but to be honest with you, the person who I would like to see win more than anybody is somebody like a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens.
We have one more match actually. Mixed tag. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Maurice and Miz. I'm gonna go with Edge and Beth, but I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I think it's going to be Edge and Beth. I think they're setting up for before WrestleMania. I think at some point you're going to see Edge and Beth versus Becky and Seth Rollins.
I'd be happy if Beth ended up entering the Rumble and won.
Beth could.
I wouldn't be upset about that at all.
No, absolutely not. That's but Beth is freaking. She looks in as good a shape as ever. But anybody who knows Beth Phoenix knows that she's in the gym all the freaking time.
Yeah. All right,
So-
folks. We've been going on for almost an hour. This is the Working Fans podcast. We gave you plenty today. You're welcome.
You know what? You know why? Because we do the work, so you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah. You already know what time it is, nigga. Just because you ain't heard from me in a while doesn't mean I wasn't working. Niggas thought I was gone, but now it's no funny games no more when I'm back, right? Hey, yo, Ken. We finna drop a bomb on these niggas, yo. It's that B-O-M-B, bitch. Let's get it. Ah! Hey. Y'all thought I was gone, but I'm back on my bullshit. Said I couldn't win, but I'm back on my bullshit. Thought that I would lose, but I'm back on my bullshit. Now watch me run this game, cause I'm back on my bullshit. Oh, y'all thought I was gone, but I'm back on my bullshit. Said I couldn't win, but I'm back on my bullshit. Thought that I would lose, but I'm back on my bullshit. Now watch me run this game, cause I'm back on my bullshit. Ain't stressing life, I'm just having fun. But I can't rest until I'm number one. See, I'm a Jedi with the mic, a beast with the bars. I flow the universe to take my place amongst the stars. Who flow is better than mine? Don't be lying through your teeth, cause I know real from fake and I can hear it in your speech. See, I'm cleaner than some bleach, but fresher than the ozone. Smashing twin sisters, tell that nigga Roger go home. My flow so fresh, I had to say it twice. Rappers try and match my skills and flow, but they just not that nice. I got more bars than life, and every track is like a sentence. I'm eating all these rappers with the words inside a sentence. I'm never taught to be weak, and I take that as a blessing. No offense for my mistakes, my dog, I'm trying to learn a lesson. I'm back to work to get to chopping these fables, and if you bring nothing to it, don't even sit at my table, you bitch. Y'all thought I was gone, but I'm back on my bullshit. Said I couldn't win, but I'm back on my bullshit. Thought that I would lose, but I'm back on my bullshit. Now watch me run this game, cause I'm back on my bullshit. Oh, y'all thought I was gone, but I'm back on my bullshit. Said I couldn't win, but I'm back on my bullshit. Thought that I would lose, but I'm back on my bullshit. Now watch me run this game, cause I'm back on my bullshit. Ain't stressing life, I'm just having fun. But I can't rest until I'm number one. I got 99 problems, 98 of them bitches, but I don't chase no hoe. Lace up and chase my riches. I do what I do, talk like I talk. Roll with the crew, we walk like we walk. Real tall niggas look like tree stalks, ain't kill nobody, you outlined in chalk. You see my style, respect my swag. Meets new flow, put the money in the bag. Trying to get right, cop a brand new Jag. Raised like a G, but my pants still sag. Born to get money, I'm fulfilling my dreams. Check me if you can, but everything as it seems. I'm getting money every day without touching the beams. And my life is like a movie, I be living out memes. I be killing these flows, I be sick with the bars. I be fucking these hoes and trying to cop fancy cars. I be hustling for dough and shooting straight for the stars. This is Meech, but don't confuse me for a Meech on Mars, you bitch. Y'all thought I was gone, but I'm back on my bullshit. Said I couldn't win, but I'm back on my bullshit. Thought that I would lose, but I'm back on my bullshit. Now watch me run this game, cause I'm back on my bullshit. Oh, y'all thought I was gone, but I'm back on my bullshit. Said I couldn't win, but I'm back on my bullshit. Thought that I would lose, but I'm back on my bullshit. Now watch me run this game, cause I'm back on my bullshit. Ain't stressing life, I'm just having fun. But I can't rest until I'm number one. It's Meech.
All right, everybody. It's the Working Fans podcast, and we are live with Kevin Gill. Check this out first, though. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you, because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Fans, welcome back for Working Fans Podcast, episode 130. Today, we have a very special interview for you. But first, as always, we are brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 1, written by Vinnie Berry, 35 short stories across the wrestling landscape, available at WrestleVille.com and LanceByChance.com. This book was written by the man who also wrote Lance by Chance, Wrestling is a Von Erich, where Kevin Vaughn becomes Lance Von Erich and then settles into being Lance Vaughn. This is an amazing book. If you think his story inside the wrestling industry is interesting, his life outside of it is way more interesting. And speaking of interesting, today we have a very special guest. He established the record label Striving for Togetherness Records, who released Vision of Disorder's earliest recordings, a band I'm a big fan of. He is the host of the Kevin Gill Show. He was featured in the NYHC documentary that came out in 1995. He was a part of Rockstar Games before they were Rockstar Games. He's been a part of Eidos Interactive. He is currently a commentator for GCW. He's been on the road to the Hammerstein, and on Sunday, it will not only be Kevin Gill on GCW, but the whole fucking world on GCW. We are here with your boy, OG Kevin Gill. Kevin, I am sorry I can't be around for this interview because I could sit here talking to you about hardcore music and video games way before we got to the wrestling, but I'm going to hand the interview off to the man they call Dave, and we're going to talk about wrestling, video games, and of course, GCW at the Hammerstein Ballroom this Sunday. I'm getting choked up because it's available on Fight TV. It's available on regular pay-per-view, and we are going to get into it with Kevin. Dave, take it away.
And I damn well will.
Awesome.
Man, he was excited. Shit, we're going to get into GCW because that's the big thing going on. But, you touched on a bunch of stuff there. First off, how you doing, man? How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here, to be among the working people, the people that make wrestling possible. You know what I mean? Without fans like you guys who then go above and beyond, not just to support the events, but to create a platform and to create content and a community around this thing we all love. So in absence of a Pabst, allow me to cheers this carbonated Arnold Palmer to you guys and all the working fans.
Do one, would you? Yeah. So he touched on some other stuff there. Video games. You got your hands in a few different things. So why don't we talk about some of the other stuff? Get a little background here.
Sure. I started out. I was always a big fan of music and video games and wrestling. There were like three passions in my life, just as a fan, as someone who would just absorb these products and be mesmerized by them, and etc. And music gave me my first opportunity to go from just being a fan of it to getting to know bands and getting bands booked for events and getting them booked on bigger shows, to then being like, well, why can't these bands have records out? And then how does that work? And then how can I distribute records? How can I put out records? And then how do you market records? How do you brand them? How do you do every part of it? How do you announce them and build the demand? And so I got to do that with a lot of great bands. Like he mentioned Vision of Disorder, but also like Shutdown, 25 to Life, District 9, Neck, the criminally underrated Neck, Six and Violence, Romantic Gorilla, No Redeeming Social Value. There was a lot. We stopped at the 19th record, and we had a 20th one that I wish we had just put out, but it was like a sampler called The Future of Music, and it was a taste of a bunch of stuff we were working on, and like kind of a greatest hits of the catalog at a very nice price as an introduction, a reintroduction for some to the label. But what's interesting is doing all that stuff and just learning from the ground up how to do everything, every part of marketing and PR and branding and promotion and running live concerts and things like that. That led to me, my super fan knowledge of video games led to a chance meeting with Sam Hauser, who went on to start Rockstar Games. And he and I hit it off really well. And he offered me a position with his upstart company. It didn't have a name yet at the time, but he felt strongly he wanted me on the team. And they said, I didn't know if I was going to be a brand person or a producer until the day I started, and they didn't know either. They were just like, oh, we'll see which one we're going to do. And they went with brand. So I got to run with the ball there, and in a startup operation, you know what I mean? Anything, I give them a lot of credit, one, for giving me such a huge opportunity, and two, they were the kind of people that if you had an aptitude for something, because I had never, for example, edited trailers, for buyers or for the press or the public and things like that. But once they put me in a studio with someone else who was doing it, by the end of the day, I was suggesting shots and transitions and things. And then after the first day, the original one of the British guys, Jamie King, he didn't come back anymore to the studio. He's just like, all right, the studio's handled because KG's there. He could go do something else. You know what I mean? So anything you gravitated towards, they kind of encouraged you because they also needed people to run with a couple of different balls. So that led to me being able to talk to the press and stuff a lot. They would use me to pitch the games to the press and to buyers and things like that. So that was kind of like the talking and schmoozing part and pitching things part and putting things over. So the music stuff, the background in that got me the shot in video games. I worked at Rockstar for a few years, went out to IDOS and did the backyard wrestling games, but also worked on Hitman and Tomb Raider. And I mean, all these companies, they have the big games they're known for, but there's a lot of other games that also come out. Like I've worked, maybe 150 games. I'm not even sure how many games I'm credited on. A lot. But all that stuff is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And while doing that and working on the backyard wrestling games, I mean, I had dabbled with stuff before. Like when I was doing the record label, we did New York hardcore music, but I started to use a lot of wrestling, iconography and imagery and stuff in our ads and things like that. And ECW came onto my worldview at that time in like 1996. So I started going to ECW religiously while running the record label. Like ECW was my outlet, you know what I mean? And from that, I got to interview some of the ECW people for a Philadelphia-based music magazine called All That Magazine, and later it was called Chord Magazine, or vice versa. But I interviewed like Too Cold Scorpio, Bill Alfonso, Terry Funk, and a few others, Stevie Richards. So all that shit was super, super cool. And Classy Freddie Blassie as well, rest in peace. So all those opportunities, then working on the backyard wrestling video game led to me just working directly with a lot of wrestlers, because I put together who were the wrestlers in the game and I put together the soundtracks for the games. So that led to me getting opportunities. The ICP guys hired me to be a referee for their company, despite the fact that I had never refereed before. But from several all-night conversations about wrestling, they felt that I would be a great referee. So I studied tape for a few weeks, and I had we hung out in a bar the day before the show, like Vampiro and ICP and Man Pondo. And they mostly just taught me to lock up and a few other things. There wasn't too much, and we were in a bar, but there wasn't too much ref training. But I watched, like I said, I watched a ton of tape, and I got to watch work and watch with a lot of great refs. So I just kept upping my game, and I started taking bookings on the California independents just to keep sharpening and enhancing my skills, to stay sharp for the music festivals they would do and the wrestling tours they would do. So I definitely put in my time and years on the ref front, and that led to commentary opportunities ultimately, and that's where I'm at now.
So that's all right. Talking about commentary and all that, I got to ask then, you hooked up with ICP. Were you, I'm assuming you were, but I'll just ask, a fan of the Stranglemania VHS
Oh my
tapes?
God. Yeah, dude. The Stranglemania tapes came into my life at the same time that ECW came into my life. So they were part and parcel of like a major influence and inspiration. Like I watched Stranglemania like thousands of times, and I've told the story, but I mean, I would bring Stranglemania with me, play like anywhere I was going, a bar, someone's house, whatever, it would just be in my backpack, because if there was an opportunity to play it, it would be played. You know what I mean? And everyone who saw it was always complete, like wrestling fans, non-wrestling fans, it didn't matter who it was, between the insane action and the fucking genius commentary. It was just the ultimate presentation. I got that at the record label. I had an intern named Tom Natali, and he, obviously was a college student and worked at his college radio station and all that. And at the college station, they had gotten an advance VHS of Stranglemania, I guess, sent to them somehow. And then he just brought it directly to me. So I had it before it even came out, and was like, yeah, so that was incredible. And then getting to meet and know and work with those guys, and like be invited to their weddings and be guests in their homes and travel all over the world with them. You know what I mean? It's crazy to go from, that was the other thing, like when ECW was my outlet when I was running the record label, ICP and that stuff became my outlet in like the towards the end of the record label and into the Rockstar Games era. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when you see a few years ago, they did in Grand Theft Auto, they had these Juggalo characters in the game. Like they had a character that was exactly the same as Shaggy Two Dope in terms of, his hair and his face paint and everything. And they used it on marketing campaigns and stuff. And I mean, that I sat down with Sam Hauser and all those guys. I played Stranglemania for them more than once. They were fascinated with my fascination with ICP. You know what I mean? And it's funny that seed remained planted and made it all these years later into one of the Grand Theft Auto games. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's wild.
Spoken into existence. It's crazy. Yeah. To this day, me personally too, I still, with non-wrestling fans, will use the phrase, I'm handling wrestling business, just because there's so many good lines in that.
What was I going to say real quick? Damn, I just had a funny, an interesting note about that. Maybe it'll come back to me.
There's a lot. We'll see. Yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you about too. I was told to ask you about this. I see it in your Twitter. PMA. What is
sure.
that exactly?
PMA, positive mental attitude. A philosophy, I guess, invented by, or at least first concepted by and put into written form by Napoleon Hill in his book. So Think and Grow Rich or something like that. I might be messing up the title slightly, but it's a great read, and his message permeated into the hardcore and punk scene back in the day through the Bad Brains primarily, who put it out there as a mantra and in their music and as kind of their soul force, part of their soul force, if you will. And bands like Leeway kept the torch going as the crossover into metalcore and hardcore, crossover and all that. And then the homies H2O, right there, they to me then are the modern masters of PMA, like Toby Morse and the band and all the stuff they do and what they represent. It's a great just injection of positivity. But that's kind of a pop culture overview of it. But it's simply just a philosophy of, you talked about earlier, talking things into existence and whatever. And I'm a dude that moved out of his house at 17 years old and has gotten to work in every industry that he's ever wanted to and worked alongside my heroes. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you put in the work and you have the right attitude, anything is possible. And a lot of people see the world through a negative filter. So PMA is just the idea that, yeah, times are going to be hard. Times are going to be tough. There's not everything's going to be great. It doesn't mean that if people are going to insult and degrade you, that you're supposed to be like, positivity, bro. You know what I mean? I like to say PMA or fuck off, you know, but just simply put, it's just to keep a positive outlook, to keep a positive mental attitude in mind. And it also ties, I think, into things that have been popular in years past, things like The Secret and all these different things. They all come back to the same thing. The power of thought is an incredible power, and the power of positive thought is very compelling, I feel, in the universe. And it sounds like some new age shit, but I'm sitting here doing the interview with you. Do you know what I mean? And that there's been many times in my life that all I had was that. All you could do is keep a positive mental attitude, because maybe you don't have food for the week, or maybe you're not sure if you could pay your rent, or you're not sure of all these different things that could be happening, health issues, whatever. But underneath it all, you know what I mean? It's possible. And as you know, a lot of people have done it, have been powered back from great adversity through that simple concept. You know what I mean? So I try to embrace it the best I can, especially in this fucking world, brother.
Oh yeah.
It's a challenge, dude. But
absolutely,
you know what I mean? But here we are.
I'm gonna get into that a little bit too, because I want to ask you something as we get into wrestling. But one last non-wrestling question here. You got a hot sauce out right now too.
Oh,
Let's talk
man.
about that.
Yeah, I'm so honored, man. The homies at Snack Season Sauces, Rich Steve and company, they do an amazing job, and they've found an opening in the market for I'll tell it like it is, for a compelling array of hot sauces that are so dope. And I'm so used to the boutique hot sauce world of just being a level of one-upsmanship of, this is so hot it'll make your eyes hurt. Oh, this one will make your asshole explode. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I have no interest in that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Snack Season they do hot stuff, but they do a whole array of everything in between. And it's the crossover of the popular flavors. Like, instead of it, oh, what is it? Oh, this is a dynamite fucking pepper. What does it taste like? It tastes like crushed up dynamite pepper. Where he'll do like Orin Vite's honey mustard, or Jimmy Lloyd's you're fucking with a different soy sauce. Mine is the What Up Doe Buffalo, a tribute to the great Buffalo region of New York, and the incredible sauce that I feel like is the number one sauce as far as an American creation. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because, you know, my opinion, like Mexican style hot sauce beats Louisiana hot sauce or any of that stuff 10 times a week, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. But to have all those other sauces in there, and Buffalo is, like, to me, the ultimate sauce. And it's whether it's on seafood, on salad, on vegetables, tofu, chicken, whatever you want to do. And that it's not designed to burn out your taste buds. It's just meant to have some kick to it and be a new take on an old favorite. But he also has great sauces. Effie has a sauce over there at Snack Season. Bussy, the dynamic combination of Effie and Alley Catch, they have a Bussy, like a lavender-based hot sauce dessert. It's more of a for dessert purposes. But, use it how you want to use it. Right. But just an amazing array of stuff over there, and I'm honored. And I'm sure there's a bunch of sauces I'm not thinking of, but those are some of my favorites of the ones I've had. And my first pressing is sold out. I think they're about to be at Hammerstein Ballroom. I think it's the first time they'll be available. And then from there, hopefully there's enough demand that we can do more editions, and maybe down the line, more flavors.
I like it. Yeah, it's going to be a good weekend now. Obviously, commentator for GCW. I guess one of the things I want to ask you before we start talking about this weekend, like, what is I think Jim Ross was always a guy I always heard was like, he doesn't like to know anything beforehand, or as little as possible. What's your prep? Are you similar in that regard, or?
100%. I love to not know, and GCW does a great job of letting me not know for the most part. Once in a while, anything can happen, whether it's travel arrangements or all kinds of things can lead to you potentially finding something out. But some of the biggest moment, or really all of the biggest moments in GCW history, these viral moments from the last 12 to 18 months of incredible surprises and reveals and dramatic returns and all this shit, I had no fucking idea. And I'm there all day in the back with everyone. When there are special people, they're hidden. They're sometimes in separate buildings or have a separate room, and they're kept in a gimmick that you can't even see who it is. Like it's wild that they take it to that extreme, but I love it because a surprise isn't a surprise if everyone knows it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's a surprise or just the show itself, you know what I mean? Like you're reacting to what's there and putting it through that filter of what the audience is thinking or wondering about, and then accentuating the stuff they might need to know about. You know what I mean? And with the energy and a passion that keeps the whole thing flowing. You know.
You touched on something too a little while ago. I wanted to get to. We talked about positive thinking in this messed up world, and what that made me think of was, is it a total just almost like fucking mind fuck to think COVID, where you guys, you know, what you're gonna do? It's, you know, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And here we are at the beginning of 2022. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. And in some ways, obviously a lot has changed. And then in some ways, a lot of stuff is still the same. Do you know what I mean? The good news is that it's seemingly now approved by all municipalities, state, city, local, federal, whatever, for people to travel and do stuff as long as they take certain precautions. So everyone has to assess their own risk and make their own decisions. And, you know, you see so many people have gotten it in the December and January wave that, you know, who knows, between that and vaccinations, maybe that helps lead to more of a herd immunity thing. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but it seems that if everyone gets something and everyone gets through it seemingly in 2 to 4 or whatever days, and a lot of people have mild symptoms, maybe in a way we're conquering it. Do you know what I mean? By at least, if you can beat it that easily, then maybe you're building up your own immunity to it. I don't know, but it's crazy, but here we are. You know what I'm saying? And everyone has to still somehow live and survive, but also to be able to escape from that reality is valuable beyond words, you know?
And just thinking too from a business standpoint, to be where you're not sure where you're going, and now Hammerstein Ballroom Sunday, just amazing. You know, that's got to be a lot of positive attitudes probably went into keeping this thing going.
Right. And just to have the vision like Brett Lauderdale did, to even in all this chaos in the world, he was able to create and plot a strategy for safely running events through the pandemic, through extremely distance and limited attendance events, like wide open outdoor events. It was a blueprint other wrestling companies used, from television companies on down, to be able to try to bring experiences to their audiences, and to start that and then build this massive momentum, like you said, in this difficult time, and then do the whole road to Hammerstein. And now we're like, you know, hours away, so to speak, days away. Yeah. It's crazy to think about. And then it's not even like, oh, I hope a lot of people show up. Like, it sold out in like 36 hours. You know what I mean?
It's nuts. I mean, and I think you said something there too. I was kind of just like talking about, like, you know, you're going these different places. Like, I don't know if you guys get the credit for like a touring company that you are. Like, you're everywhere.
Yeah, like it seems like the wrestling press, I think they're getting better at it now, especially, but for the amount of shows GCW runs, the locations that they run, the audience that's in attendance, the audience that's watching at home, it's hard to imagine not covering GCW for what it is, rather than being constrained to the idea of, if it's not on some extremely limited and barely watched TV platform, that it doesn't exist as a product. It's baffling, because if you look at any of the metrics, it would sure seem like GCW has much more of a fan base and a draw, and people that are engaged and active in viewing the product than other products do that have bigger platforms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to think. I wonder. We talked about this like little fantasy. I don't know what you would think. This, me and a friend just did our fans, and it's like, because of the product you deliver, like, what would you, what major company, TV company would pick them up? But I always thought, man, wouldn't it be something if like, and I don't know if this would work out, but like an HBO Max or something where you could just still be yourself.
Sure.
Get distribution. I'd really be curious just to see, because you guys do have all this momentum, and I don't know if it gets noticed sometimes enough as it should.
Yeah, like I know that Brett Lauderdale, the guy who runs GCW, he's been on the record as saying fairly recently that he felt that like TV wasn't the answer, or something that he's working towards or whatever. I know obviously he's open to whatever, to considering anything, but I agree with you in that idea. Like the conventional idea of TV where every Saturday morning, GCW is going to tell this 14-week story or whatever. I don't think that would be a benefit, but 4 times a year special on HBO Max, a monthly special on Netflix. You know what I mean?
Almost like a big time fight, like an HBO Boss Showtime, that kind of feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a special events and things that, because this is a wrestling product that has crossed over, it's reinvigorated lapsed fans. It brings new fans in, like that have never attended wrestling shows before. And it has the benefit of being in an ecosystem where there are companies like AEW that have a great, compelling product. They have a great, compelling platform, incredible roster, and they're out in the world. Just them being there educates fans to there's more to wrestling than just a WWE product. Like, so even if fans had no idea, they become way more open to other products and ideas once they've seen AEW, and then in some cases they're seeing people like Joey Janela and Jon Moxley that are on both of the shows. You know what I mean? So it's a great doorway, and companies like Ring of Honor obviously doing their thing and having their titles represented on these shows. I think it represents a great, even if it's just in the spirit of cooperation, even if there's not any sort of formal arrangements between anyone, just to have that spirit of cooperation and call it brotherhood, or having the ability to lend a helping hand, and everyone wins. Like the tide raises all ships. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone's hurt by the entire life's blood of the future of television wrestling, which has always been and always will be having a strong and vibrant and diverse independent wrestling scene, because no one delivers stars to television like independent wrestling does, no matter how many models and Instagram influencers and other people are signed. And some of those people will go on to do great things in wrestling, but percentage wise and etc., that's my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, you want the people in independent, because they're the ones that are passionate normally and are going to put everything into it. So yeah, I mean,
already been putting everything into
it.
Fully ready to go.
Is this, in your opinion, you're a lifelong wrestling fan too, is just in your opinion too, the greatest time in terms of talent trading and lending out wrestlers that I don't think, I mean, you'd have to go way back in the territory days, but this is overall for cooperation.
Yeah, to me, I think it's unprecedented. Yeah, I think back in the territory days, it's a different thing in a way, right. But if you were local in those markets, you saw your place as the place, and then the other people would come through. So there was obviously a huge sharing thing that went on between like the NWA people and all that, or, Mid-Atlantic and everyone coming through and going places. But yeah, what's going on now, I think is unprecedented, because you have New Japan talent, you have Ring of Honor talent, Game Changer Wrestling talent. There's Impact Wrestling talent out there. You know what I mean? There's so much talent out there doing their thing, AEW talent. And I think it benefits the industry. It makes new stars, and the fans win in the biggest way possible, because these dream scenarios and dream matches just continue to unfold organically. And a lot of times they're driven by two forces: the wrestler's desire to have that match in, both cases, and the fans' desire to see it. You know what I mean? Those are the two forces. Rather than telling the audience what they want or telling them that what they want is wrong, imagine giving them what they want. It's fucking insane. It's fucking crazy, but stick with me.
It's funny, like, though, even to your point too, like how this benefits. Like, I'll say, and unfortunately, we don't know what's going on with Ring of Honor, right? And we hope that they do great, but like Jonathan Gresham, to me now, is a bigger star because
Oh
he's
yeah,
showing
I
up
think
with that
so.
Ring of Honor belt, and that belt is suddenly like more. It's come like the traveling NWA World Title. He's in Impact. He's in GCW. He's everywhere. It's like what?
And defending it against top tier talent and building to this huge match at Hammerstein, and the legacy of Ring of Honor at Hammerstein, and having Ian Riccaboni come in for commentary on that match. All of that is just very special, and it's a great tribute. And it's great that Ring of Honor will be back in April, and I look forward to seeing what they deliver. But I think it's just magical. You know what I mean? Because it's. I understand for a long time it made total sense to, you know what I mean, be very restrictive about everything. But I think in this new age and new era, it makes a lot more sense just to be cooperative in a sense, especially in mutually beneficial ways.
Absolutely. Now we've talked a lot. Let's get to the weekend. We'll start off with, I think it's a little bit under the radar here, but the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. Oh man, I'm just gonna go down this real quick for you.
Please
talk about it. Jerry Lynn will be inducted, and by Sean Waltman, X-Pac 1-2-3 Kid, Homicide, the Godfather of independent wrestling, inducted by Chris Dickinson. Dave Prazak will be there, inducted by CM Punk. CM Punk's gonna be here. LuFisto, Lenny Leonard inducting her. We got Ruckus inducted by Sanjay Dutt, and
wow,
I don't know who's inducted, but Tracy Smothers also, who well deserved, will be inducted. Like,
yes,
hell of a lineup, man.
They have not announced Tracy's inductor yet. I'm not sure if they will announce it or it'll just unfold on the air, live and free on Fight TV as well as YouTube. But of course, if you want to join us in the room, it's at the Cutting Room, New York City. And tickets are still available on the Cutting Room website. It's going to be a lot of love in the room, just to be in the room with those legends as they speak from the heart, from the soul, and to be there in a world-class, world-famous venue. It's a really prestigious affair, and so nice to be able to honor all those people you mentioned. We could go on for an entire series of shows about them and their contributions and what many of them have meant to us personally. We wouldn't be here today without every one of those people.
1,000%. And I think it just really adds to this weekend too, doing this, honoring these guys. And I think that's always been the way. I mean, even back in the day, the WrestleManias and the accesses, and now the independent week. It's just awesome when you see it. Just feels like a bigger event.
Yeah, and it's bigger than life, and it's to honor people that are bigger than life. You know what I mean? And I think it's just so important to do that, because wrestling can obviously be a very hard business, and there's a lot that goes into it, and that's before you get into the social media side of things.
Yes.
So I think anytime you could give people their flowers, give them their acknowledgments, their props, their respect for their contributions, because believe it or not, even the people that you think of as legends and icons and all these things, they are, but sometimes they need to really, they really need to know what they mean. It's that important, and it's special thanks too. It's not just Game Changer Wrestling putting on that Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame, but it's our friends at Orange Crush Magazine and Pabst Blue Ribbon. So hats off to them sincerely, because it takes a village to pull something off of this magnitude, and here we are.
And I'm going to read this card quickly and I'm going to get all these matches down here, and we'll just talk about the card in general. But I want to get all these because I think this card is so fucking stacked.
Insane.
Yeah. Pre-show, Jack Cartwheel.
Well, it's a kickoff.
Oh, kickoff. Okay. 6-way scramble. Yeah. Jack Cartwheel, Dante Leon, Ninja Mac, Nick Wayne, Grim Reaper, Alex Zane. It's insane. I love Nick Wayne. The son of Buddy Wayne has turned up too. I think that's, again, you just don't know who's going to show up. And
what a great kid Nick Wayne is. A top tier talent at an impossibly young age, and as humble and nice and kind and considerate as the day is long. It's an honor to know him and work alongside him, and to just be in the room with him at this pivotal time in his career, and knowing the multi-generational component of it. I'm a big fan of that. I love generations and dynasties and families in wrestling. To me, that's always been a part of the magic. Worked families are fine, but shoot families and shoot bloodlines and dynasties have that extra kick, you know, because it's real.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But so I don't lose track here. Matt Cardona, Joey Janela. I love the way this was set up with the classic Joey doing the Miss Elizabeth type photos and everything with Chelsea Green. Talk about two guys that really, I think, know how to build a match too.
Oh man, they to build a match and to deliver a match in both cases. And Joey Janela has proven countless times that he can make magic. He's just a magician in the ring, of that he's able to take performers, of whether they're performers of different generations or eras of wrestling, or whether they're the contemporary state-of-the-art wrestler. You know, it's been everyone from Marty Jannetty to Leo Rush to PCO to, you know, all over the spectrum, to Scotty Too Hottie. Joey makes magic every time he's in the ring, but I think this time the magic is going to be a dark magic, a very violent form of magic, because, you know, you saw what happened at Super Gabby's toy storage space, or dollhouse, whatever. I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but yeah, I just can't wait. And you know, you have to be impressed with what, despite his despicable, he's like a super douche canoe, you know what I mean? Like just a king of the assholes, Matt Cardona. But he's so full of himself and everything, but there is some foundation to it, you know what I mean, in terms of what he's been able to do, in terms of reinventing himself, and then to step into the ring with Nick Gage, to do what he did, to endure that, and not just endure it, not just survive it, not just be able to come back from it, but to win the title, you know, albeit maybe under questionable circumstances. His run has been legendary, and he quit already, so I was very thankful that we didn't have to see him or them anymore. But now they're back for one more time, the only time. If you want to see the complete and utter destruction of the Cardona dynasty, please tune in on Fight TV. Call your local cable provider or get it on Fight TV, because I can't wait. I just can't wait for Joey to regulate on Matt Cardona. It's gone on for too long, and it ends. It's over. Goodbye, Matt Cardona.
I love it. You sound so. I mean, this card's fucking stacked. I look at the next match I see out here. I got Jeff Jarrett, former WCW World Champion, against Effie. I think this is going to be awesome for Effie more than anything. I think Effie's going to shine, and I'm super excited. But I am excited just to see how Jeff Jarrett at this stage of the game and everything. This is interesting.
Jeffy versus Effie. We've seen a litany of stars across wrestling and even outside of wrestling become obsessed with Effie, seemingly enthralled with Effie. Matt Cardona went through a big time Effie obsession, and now we see here Jeff Jarrett, or as some say Jeffy, is possibly on the same trail. But the thing is, it's very unclear to me what is motivating all this from Jeff Jarrett. You know, he showed up, he brutally attacked Effie with a guitar. No words were spoken. He repeated his actions against Alley Catch, and he's just extra disturbing the nature of the dragging people around by their heads with this shattered guitar with all these splinters and the string ends all stabbing people in their face while this is happening. And I don't understand why. I don't even want to speculate why. You know, his history and legacy in the business is well documented and well respected from the territory days on forward. You know, there's no Memphis wrestling without the Jarrett family.
1,000%.
So I don't know what it's all about, but I know that Effie is never been one to back down from a fight. And whether it's against Nick Gage, whether it's against members of the Second Gear crew, whether it's against Matt Cardona, it doesn't matter who you put against Effie. Effie is fine. And I think Jeff Jarrett's going to find out that while being a well-respected mind in pro wrestling, being a well-respected behind-the-scenes figure in pro wrestling, by being a top podcaster in pro wrestling, by being rumored to have all these new business plans for the year in pro wrestling, none of that is equal to Effie's overall magnitude of greatness. So as great as Jeff Jarrett is, and he is great, don't get me wrong, I don't think Jeff Jarrett has ever seen anyone like Effie. And when that bell rings, I don't know that Jeff Jarrett's ready.
More reason to buy it. I love it. Guys should probably check this out. There's a video somewhere online too, hyping this next match. That was just awesome. Alley Catch and Ruby Soho. This is good stuff, man. I mean, this is an awesome women's match. Soho's doing great things in AEW. Alley Catch, I feel, is like one of the centerpieces of Game Changer Wrestling.
100%. I always say this: Alley Catch is the best unsigned wrestler in North America, and I think we're very fortunate to have her, and to have her up on top of the stage on the main show, and to face someone that is a dream opponent for her, but to do it on her terms in her house. You know, she's not going somewhere else to someone else's television or whatever, or somewhere. Ruby Soho is coming to the Hammerstein Ballroom. Sold out before she was even announced, and she's going to go to war with Alley Catch, man. If you guys haven't seen it, as well as the amazing promo, the Giancarlo or vignette short film that Giancarlo put together for that program, there's also an incredible post-match interview, if you want to call it that, or promo that Alley Catch cut on the microphone in Chicago that was absolutely, like, people had chills. It was just magnificent. And Allie's worked so hard for it, and she magnifies and exemplifies the spirit of GCW. She is a last outlaw. You know what I mean? Everyone is told they don't belong. They're not good enough. You're too much this. You're not enough that. Yet somehow, despite the critics and the cynics, Hammerstein Ballroom is sold out. Call your local cable provider.
I love it, man. We're halfway through this card. I feel like this is kind of turned into we're pumping everything up, but fuck it, I love it, and you're willing to do it, so thank you.
Fuck yeah.
All right, next match. Then we're halfway through. Team Bandito, ASF, Bandito, Laredo Kid, Ares, Demonic Flamita, and Gringo Loco.
Man, Team Bandito versus Team Gringo. Bandito, of course, needs no introduction. His reign, some say his reign still continues as Ring of Honor world champion. And, you know, to have your finger to the pulse of Lucha Libre, not many people have it more than Bandito. His in-ring work is spectacular. The people he surrounds himself with is spectacular. But his team has their hands full, certainly, because Gringo Loco is no fucking joke. Gringo Loco, hands down, the most talented luchador from this side of the border, I think, that's ever been. His magic in all the scrambles and in every other format of match he's ever been placed in GCW, I think, speaks volumes. The base god is able to do things in the ring that no one should be able to do. And he's got his homies too. So when you just I think of the legendary Mysterio and Juventud, or Mysterio and Psychosis, and all these legendary matches, whether it be at the ECW arena or on WCW Nitro, that kind of showed the whole world what's possible with modern lucha style. That's my prediction, and that's what I'm expecting out of that 6-person lucha team-based war.
Absolutely. Fearless. All those guys are fearless. Next match, be a little easier to preview, but I will say this. As we talked about a little, off air, being long wrestling fans, I was always a mark for surprises and mystery. And the Briscoes defending the Game Changer wrestler against we don't even know. And, I want to see it.
I know, it's so compelling, and there's so much talent announced for the show that doesn't even have a match assigned yet. And then there's always the possibility of, but what else? Like, what if the challengers aren't people that are part of what's been announced? You know what I mean? Anything's possible. There's been a lot of talk online. I think there's several frontline candidates, and I don't think anyone I was gonna say no one loses anyway, but in a way the Briscoes could, you know what I mean? Because when you don't know who you're facing, it's a lot harder to prepare for it. But the Briscoes, I sound like a broken record, but the Briscoes, is anyone better in tag team wrestling than the Briscoes right now? Untouchable. To be able to call their matches in Game Changer Wrestling, to see and study their work up close like that, and the respect that the fans and the other wrestlers have for them, those guys are beyond next level, man. If they were born a decade or two earlier, they would have been, on top with the Road Warriors. You know what I mean? They're just like that day, and the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express and everybody. Like, they're just, to me, they're the best tag team in the world right now. And I know other teams like FTR claim that, and in their mind or in their world, they might be, but a lot of people make a strong case for the Second Gear crew. You know what I mean? And they're a unique force to be reckoned with. So anything's possible. Who knows what it might be?
Yeah, that's one of the great selling points of this too. Again, we got to see. And it's not like we're not giving you an outstanding card, so you're getting
right.
It's like just show up. Yeah. And yeah, okay. So the next match, to me, this actually might be the match of the night in terms of just action, which is saying something since we talked about it. But the grab the brass ring ladder match, Jordan Oliver, PCO, Leo Rush, Alex Colon, Tony Deppen, and Jimmy Lloyd. I feel like all of those people have had like awesome 2021s, and yeah,
it's just so crazy, and the opportunity and what it represents. Any shot at any of the Game Changer Wrestling championships at any time is what the holder of the brass ring then has access to. So when you think of that contrast of styles, you know what I mean? You have Jimmy Lloyd, the master of the scramble, who's not afraid to get more than down and dirty. Alex Colon, the Mr. Three-Peat himself. But has Alex Colon ever faced a juggernaut like PCO? Do you know what I mean? The French-Canadian Frankenstein. That guy he's not human. He's a monster. You know what I mean? You add to that the technicality and sheer assholeness personified of Tony Deppen, the incredible high flying and everything that Leo Rush brings to the table. And it just goes on and on. I mean, that match is stacked, like absolutely stacked.
Yeah, just and we got two more. This is just an insane card. Again, Jonathan Gresham defending that Ring of Honor title against Blake Christian. If you watched the last show, both these guys coming off big wins. I think this is another sleeper.
Oh yeah, Blake Christian has been one of the greats for a while now, and he's reemerged on the scene with a whole new level of passion and dedication, and it's like what he's delivered in the ring right now it seems like superhuman. You know what I mean? Like he seems primed, he seems ready, he seems as strong as Gresham is, as unfuckwithable as Gresham is on the mat. Christian, I think, brings that to the game, but brings a whole other set of skills. And I think we're going to see a pure rules match, maybe amongst the likes of which we've never seen before, because the stakes are so amplified, not just for the prestigious title that's on the line, but the platform and the audience and what it means. You know what I mean? Like John Gresham, there's no way he wants to go back to Terminus and wants to go back to Ring of Honor without that belt. You know what I mean? And with all his various appearances and everything. And Blake Christian wants to show the world that he's the guy that's going to basically take the show. He's going to steal the show every single time. It doesn't matter where you slot him. It doesn't matter anything, because Blake Christian's future is determined by Blake Christian and his abilities in the ring. There's no other limitation on him anymore. So therefore, Blake Christian, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's Blake Christian's night, but we'll find out.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a good one. His ability, he can do it everywhere. And that main event coming off the Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame induction, Homicide gets his shot at the Game Changer Wrestling title against the returning Jon Moxley.
What can be said? Jon Moxley, one of the illest to ever do it. But then you want to talk about fucking Homicide, man. It's two legends. It's two legends of independent wrestling, and obviously both of their work has far exceeded the scope of independent wrestling throughout their storied careers. But as two like Mount Rushmore representations of independent wrestling, Moxley and Homicide, just a war for the ages, a dream match, a match I don't think you could really see anywhere else but GCW, and how fitting to have it in that room on that platform, and to have Mox back in wrestling with the title. He never lost, and Homicide went through a lot to get this opportunity. So, man, the words main event made have never been more aptly applied to this. It's going to be special for sure. I'm sure Moxley wants to show and prove that he's still Moxley, but Homicide, I think, wants that big win on the big platform, and he wants to win the biggest prize in the sport in his home city. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ingredients and a lot of potential for magic. There's a lot of potential for violence. So that's kind of really the ultimate formula, in my humble opinion.
Great way to close the show. Absolutely. Well-deserved main event. Kevin, we've talked about a lot. We turned this into a countdown show at the end, but I think
hell yeah. Good. We'll rerun it on Sunday before the pay-per-view.
Anytime, brother. Anything you want to promote? Anything else you want to talk about? Floor is yours, man.
Sure. I'm about to release a new T-shirt that Sayozawa from Japan drew for me, and Powerbomb Prints printed up. It's fucking stunning. Later today, I'm going to be putting up a reveal trailer of it and putting it on sale on my site. I'll also have them in New York. So if anyone wants to support me like that, please do. My website is dignifiedbastard.com. Additionally, I would encourage everyone to please check out patreon.com/GameChangerWrestling. We do a lot of great content on there. The official Game Changer Wrestling podcast is exclusive to it. Myself and Brett Lauderdale take questions for hours every episode and give them all back to the Patreon community exclusively. There's the World of Deathmatch with Alex Colon and Stephen A. There's the World of Deathmatch newsletter, the TJ and Friends unprecedented, like behind the scenes video access to the talent and alternative camera angles of the events and things like that. Early access to ticket on sales, exclusive merch. It's a whole thing going on, and a lot of what's happening is due in great part to our great Patreon community. So we encourage you to join it at any level you can. And then, of course, GCWmerch.com is the official GCW merch hookup. Shout out to our friends from Orange Crush. Shout out to Pabst. And shout out to me, your boy KG, at OG Kevin Gill on all social media. And shout out to our friends at Middle Kingdom Wrestling, who recently made history working with the governments of China and Japan to promote a series of wrestling events, to promote kind of a global, what would be the right word? To create kind of, I want to choose my words very carefully here. Let's see. So Middle Kingdom Wrestling and the State Department of the United States and the government of China all teamed up to bring a series of pro wrestling events to China in the spirit of just opening up the doors of communication and opening up the spirit of people. You know what I mean? We're all people at the end of the day, and people enjoying things together and using the art of professional wrestling to bring the people together and to build a bond on something like that is so cool. And I'm honored that the shows just were run live in China over the last few days, and then I'm going to be doing commentary in post-production on that. I would have loved to have been there to do it, but with the Hammerstein and everything, it was not possible. So I will be doing it in post, and you can check out Middle Kingdom Wrestling on YouTube, and they're doing great things in China, bringing regular wrestling events, homegrown talent, training people out there. And it's great just to see that flag of wrestling taken around the world as a way of bringing people together.
There you go. And this Sunday, the World on GCW, 8 p.m. is the main show. Fight TV and on regular pay-per-view. So
yep. And that
out.
kickoff event starts at, I believe, right around 7.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to miss that. A lot of great talent is going to be seen in that first hour. So make sure you tune in at 7 and get acquainted with the world on GCW.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I
man.
appreciate it, man.